Welcome to the Explainer. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're not really in charge of your own thoughts? Like they just happen to you? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful distinction that could totally change how you see reality. And this is all based on a fantastic talk given by Loon back on March 16th, 2025. And this question right here, it really gets to the core of our day-to-day experience, and honestly, it gets to the root of so much of our own suffering. The answer, as you're about to see, is all about understanding two totally different ways your mind operates. All right, so let's introduce the two main characters in this story, the two key players inside your own mind, the knower and the thinker. And trust me, getting the difference between these two, it's a total game changer.
Okay, first up, we've got the knower. You can think of this as your capacity for just pure awareness. It's the part of you that simply knows what is here right now. It sees a tree, it feels the wind on your skin, it hears a car go by, and that's it. No story, no commentary, just direct, clear observation.
And then you have the thinker. Oh, the thinker. This is the storyteller, right? The nonstop commentator in your head. It's that voice that just immediately jumps in to interpret everything. It takes that raw data from the knower and just piles on layers and layers of meaning, judgment, memories, you name it. And this, right here, shows you the core difference perfectly. You've got the knower, which is all about direct observation. It sees reality as it is, and that leads to wisdom. But then you have the thinker, which is all about evaluation and creating a story. And when we mistake that story for what's real, well, that leads straight to delusion. So how does this actually work? How do we build this entire fabricated reality moment by moment? Let's take a closer look at the thinker's projections in action, because it's happening all the time, usually without us even noticing.
Okay, let's do a quick experiment. Look at a chair. It could be the one you're sitting on or one across the room. Just for a second, really see the object. The knower in you is just taking in its shape, its color, its material. That's it.
But what happens almost immediately? Before you can even blink, your mind does way more than just see wood and fabric, right? The thinker just leaps into action, projecting all these concepts onto it based on your past. Comfort, work, design, rest, maybe even, I paid too much for that chair. Okay, but here's the really mind-bending part. If you could somehow strip all of those thoughts away, if you could just tell the thinker to take a coffee break for 1 second, you'd see the object as it actually is. Totally neutral. It has no meaning on its own. It's just a chair. And this process of just slapping meaning onto everything, it happens constantly, not just with chairs, but with people, with events, with every single thing we experience. It creates what Loon calls a bubble of our own delusion, a completely personalized world that we've manufactured entirely with our thoughts. And this brings us to a really profound idea. The world we experience isn't some objective, fixed thing. It's actually a reflection of our own inner state. The things out there, they're completely innocent. You can think of it like our mind has these different colored lenses it looks through. For example, if we're looking at something through the lens of greed or desire, it seems amazing, so pleasant, we have to have it. But if we look at that exact same thing a moment later through a lens of aversion or anger, suddenly it seems awful, repulsive. So this is the crucial takeaway right here. The object itself, or the person or the situation, is neutral. It's innocent. The pleasant or unpleasant quality isn't in the object. It never was. Our mind is the one projecting it on there. Let's take a classic example, road rage. So what actually happens? The event, what the knower sees, is just a metal box on wheels moving from one lane to another. That's it. But the thinker, whoa, the thinker builds an entire Hollywood blockbuster out of it. They disrespected me, that idiot, this is my lane. And that story is the real source of our anger and stress. It's never about the car. All right, so if the thinker is causing all this chaos, what are we supposed to do? Well, the solution isn't to try and fight the thinker or shut it up. The path forward is to strengthen and train the knower. And it's really important to get this right. The goal is not to stop thinking. I mean, that's impossible, right? The mind thinks. That's its job. The practice is much more subtle and powerful. It's about changing your relationship with your thoughts, learning to see them for what they are, just mental events passing through, not absolute truths. And Loon lays out a really clear two-step path for this. Step 1, you start to distinguish between your mind, the subject that's doing the knowing, and the world out there, the object that's being known. And step 2, you begin to realize that the meaning you have for an object is totally separate from the object's own reality.
This creates so much space. So for example, when a strong feeling like anger comes up, instead of getting lost in the thought, I am angry, the practice is to shift to the knower and just observe, there's anger. See the difference? You are no longer the anger. You are the awareness that is simply noticing the anger.
And this really is the core instruction of the whole practice, summed up beautifully right here. Stay with the knowing instead of following the thinking. It's about anchoring yourself in that direct, clear observation instead of getting constantly swept away down the river of your mind's stories. Okay, so let's tie this all together. Why does this matter so much? Why is cultivating this knower, making this simple shift in how you pay attention, so life-changing?
It's because a massive, huge chunk of our daily suffering, our anxiety, our stress, our anger, our ruminating over the past, it all comes from one single place, believing the stories the thinker tells us are 100% true. We get caught in these thought loops, right? Just replaying things over and over, all fueled by the thinker's version of reality.
So here's the big takeaway. By practicing this mindful observation, this staying with the knowing, you can literally start to dismantle that suffering machine. You can stop creating all this unnecessary pain for yourself and begin to see reality as it is, which is often much more peaceful. And this isn't some abstract idea. This means less reactivity, more patience, a real sense of calm, even when life gets messy.
It's really the difference between being an actor who is completely lost in the drama of a play, totally believing you are the character, and being the person in the audience who can see the whole stage. You see the lights, you see the props, you know it's a story. You get perspective. And with that perspective, you get to choose how to respond, instead of just being a puppet of your automatic reactions. This tiny shift, from becoming the thought to being the one who knows the thought, is the whole key. So I'll leave you with this to carry into your day. The next time a strong feeling or thought arises, are you going to become it, or will you be the one who simply knows it's there? Because having that awareness, that gives you a choice. And that choice, in every single moment, is yours.